Commander Elena Reyes rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at the screen. There it was again. The same pattern in the cosmic background radiation. It had been showing up every 47 hours for the past 3 weeks. You're still obsessing over that noise. Dr. Jackson walked by her station, coffee in hand. It's not just noise, Elena said. Look at the pattern. It repeats exactly the same way each time. Nature doesn't work like that. Dr. Jackson shrugged. Pulsars do. Quasars do. Lots of things in space make regular patterns. Elena shook her head. Not like this. This has mathematical precision. Look at these prime number sequences. The board already classified it as a natural phenomenon, Jackson said. Let it go, Reyes. We have actual work to do monitoring the Jupiter mission. When Jackson left, Elena saved another copy of the data to her personal drive. Something inside her wouldn't let this go. 20 years at the International Deep Space Monitoring Station had taught her to trust her instincts. Across the galaxy, in a chamber built from crystal and light, the Overseer Council of the Collective was in session. 17 different species, each representing a spacefaring civilization, sat in a circle. Most looked nothing like humans. Some were insect-like, others resembled plants or floating clouds of color. The humans continue to ignore our greeting messages, said Vextrol, a tall blue being with 4 arms. That makes 30 Earth years of failed communication attempts. Perhaps they simply don't understand, suggested Meredith, an ancient being whose form shimmered like water. They are young as a species. Nonsense. The Vrel representative clicked his mandibles angrily. His insect body tensed. The mathematical patterns we send are universal. A child could understand them. They are deliberately ignoring us. The Overseer, oldest of all present, raised a hand for silence. We must consider all possibilities. Are the humans too primitive to detect our signals? Are they ignoring us? Or are they simply processing the information differently? We've used every standard first contact protocol, said another member. Radio waves, light patterns, gravitational pulses. We've placed the signals in their cosmic background radiation where any developing civilization would look. And yet they send out these strange broadcasts. The Overseer gestured, and the chamber filled with snippets of human television, radio, and internet traffic. They shout into the void without direction or purpose. They are dangerous, the Vrel representative insisted. Unpredictable. Look how they fight among themselves over resources they could easily share. They also show great creativity, Meredith countered, and resilience. The question remains, the Overseer said, do we continue attempting contact, or do we simply observe them until they either destroy themselves or advance enough to notice us? As the council debated, none of them realized that on a small blue planet, one human woman was noticing their signals, even if her colleagues thought she was chasing noise. Back on Earth, Commander Reyes printed out the pattern and pinned it to her wall. She drew connections between the repeating sequences. Something in her gut told her this was important. She would keep looking, even if everyone thought she was wasting her time. Somewhere in those patterns was a message. She just needed to figure out how to read it. Dr. Marcus Chen couldn't stop smiling as he looked at his team. After 5 years of work, today was the day they would test the quantum resonance array. Is everyone ready? He asked, looking around the large underground lab at MIT. His team of 12 scientists and engineers nodded, their faces showing a mix of excitement and worry. The array is at full power, said Dr. Sophia Patel, checking her screen. Quantum entanglement is stable. Marcus took a deep breath. This could change everything. If it works, we'll be able to send data instantly across any distance. No delay, no matter how far. What Marcus didn't know was that his experiment was about to reach much farther than he planned. Begin the test sequence, he ordered. The massive ring-shaped device in the center of the lab began to hum. Blue light pulsed along its metal surface. Screens around the room filled with data as the machine powered up. Initiating quantum link in 3, 2, 1. Sophia pressed the activation button. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a bright flash filled the room, and the humming grew louder. "We're getting a response," shouted one of the engineers. "Something's connecting with our signal." Marcus rushed to the main console. "That's impossible. We're only sending between our two devices." But the readings were clear. Their quantum signal had gone somewhere else, somewhere far beyond Earth. Across the galaxy, alarms blared throughout the collective's monitoring station. Technicians of various alien species rushed to their stations. "What's happening?" demanded the station chief, a tall Meridian whose crystalline body flickered with worried light patterns. "We're receiving a transmission from Earth," said a Vrel operator, mandibles clicking rapidly. "But it's not through any normal channel. It's coming through subspace." "Impossible," the chief said. "Humans don't have subspace technology. They're centuries away from developing it." "See for yourself," the operator said, displaying the incoming signal. The signal contained complex mathematical formulas and detailed schematics for a device, the very quantum resonance array that Dr. Chen had built. "This changes everything," the station chief whispered. "Alert the Overseer Council immediately." Back on Earth, Marcus and his team celebrated what they thought was a successful test between their two quantum devices. The connection was stable for 12 seconds. Sophia said, looking at the data, "That's 10 times longer than our previous record." "Did you see that energy spike, though?" Marcus asked, pointing to an anomaly in the readings. "Something strange happened during the test." "Probably just feedback in the system," another scientist suggested. "The important thing is that it worked." Marcus nodded, but something felt off. The energy readings showed that their signal had somehow amplified far beyond what their equipment should be capable of. "Let's run it again tomorrow with more monitoring equipment," he said. "I want to understand everything that's happening in the system." As the team celebrated, none of them realized they had just sent humanity's first message to an alien civilization. A message that showed technology the aliens thought impossible for humans to possess. The collective was about to take notice of Earth in a way no one had planned for. The Great Overseer Council chamber had never been so loud. Representatives from all 17 species of the collective shouted over each other. The unexpected message from Earth had thrown the entire galactic community into chaos. The humans must have been hiding their true technology. Vextrol of the Vrel slammed his clawed appendage on the table. His insect-like body vibrated with anger. "They've been watching us, studying us, while pretending to be primitive." "That makes no sense," Meredith countered, her watery form rippling with frustration. "Why would they hide, then suddenly reveal advanced quantum technology? There must be another explanation." The Overseer, oldest and wisest among them, raised all 4 of his arms. "Silence. We must approach this logically." The chamber quieted, though tension remained thick in the air. "There are 3 possibilities," the Overseer continued. "First, the humans have been deceiving us. Second, they have made an unexpected technological leap. Third, this was an accident. Accident or not, they've demonstrated quantum subspace communication," said the Noor representative, a being of pure light. "Such technology in the hands of an unpredictable species is dangerous. I propose immediate containment protocols," Vextrol insisted. "We must isolate their system until we understand their intentions." "And if they're innocent?" Meredith asked. "If this was truly an accident, we would be punishing an emerging species for their own discovery." The debate raged on as the council split into factions. On Earth, Commander Elena Reyes stared at the notice on her screen. She had been reassigned to satellite maintenance duty, effective immediately. "This is ridiculous," she told her supervisor. "The pattern appeared again last night, exactly as I predicted it would." "You've spent too much time chasing ghosts," Reyes, her supervisor, replied. "The board is tired of wasting resources on your pet project. Be grateful they didn't fire you completely." Elena packed her few belongings from the monitoring station desk, including her notes about the strange signals. As she walked out, she turned to look at her station one last time. The screen showed new data coming in, the strongest signal yet, but no one was watching. Across the world at MIT, Dr. Marcus Chen and his team prepared for their second test of the quantum resonance array. "I've made some adjustments to increase the stability," Marcus told his team. "Today, we're going to try maintaining the quantum link for a full minute." "The university is excited about yesterday's results," Sophia said. "They're already talking about doubling our funding." Marcus nodded, but his mind was on the strange energy spike from the first test. Something about it kept bothering him. "Let's add extra monitoring equipment around the room," he said. "I want to catch any external interference or unexpected effects." As the team prepared for the second test, none of them knew that their first experiment had caused an interstellar diplomatic crisis. They had no idea that alien eyes were now turning toward Earth with fear and suspicion. 17 light-years away, the Overseer Council finally reached a decision. A small observation vessel would be sent to the Sol system. Its mission: determine whether humans were a threat that needed to be contained, or a promising new species worthy of proper first contact. The ship departed immediately, its engines bending space in ways humans had only dreamed of. Earth was about to have visitors. The alien ship slipped into the solar system silently, its advanced cloaking technology hiding it from Earth's primitive detection systems. Captain Zorvax, a veteran Meridian explorer, guided the vessel behind Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. "Perfect hiding spot," he said to his crew of 12, each from a different species of the collective. The humans focus most of their observation equipment on Mars and Venus. They rarely look this far with any detail. "Begin passive monitoring of all Earth broadcasts," he ordered. "I want to understand these beings before we make any decisions." Thelos, the youngest crew member and a junior Meridian scientist, took his position at the communications array. Soon, the ship's systems were filled with human television shows, radio broadcasts, and internet traffic. "There's so much of it," Thelos said, his crystalline form glowing with excitement. "They never stop communicating." "Most of it is meaningless entertainment," said Krex, the Vrel security officer, his mandibles clicking with disapproval. "Look how they waste their resources on games and fictional stories." "I find it fascinating," Thelos replied quietly. On Earth, Commander Elena Reyes sat in her small office in the Satellite Maintenance Division. The job was boring, but it had one advantage. She had access to deep space monitoring equipment that nobody cared about anymore. She had set up the old systems to keep tracking her mysterious signal. Today, as she checked the readings, something new caught her eye. "That's strange," she muttered to herself. "A heat signature behind Europa. That wasn't there yesterday." She ran the data through filtering programs. The signature was faint but definite. Something large was hiding behind Jupiter's moon, something that didn't match any known space mission. Elena's heart raced. She should report this to her superiors, but they had already labeled her as the woman who chased space ghosts. Would they listen now? She decided to keep her discovery secret for now. She needed more evidence. At MIT, Dr. Marcus Chen was preparing for a much larger test of the quantum resonance array. After 2 successful smaller experiments, the university had fast-tracked funding for an expanded version. "The new array will be 10 times more powerful," he explained to the board of directors. "It could revolutionize communication, computing, even transportation eventually." "What about that energy anomaly you reported?" one director asked. Marcus hesitated. "We still don't understand it completely. It's as if our signal was being received somewhere else. But that's impossible with our current setup. Unless someone else has similar technology," another director suggested. Marcus laughed. "What, like aliens? This is serious science, not science fiction." Back on the observation vessel, alarms suddenly blared. "Captain," Krex called out, "the humans are preparing for another quantum experiment. Their plans show a device 10 times more powerful than the first." Captain Zorvax studied the intercepted blueprints with growing concern. This is not the behavior of a species that just stumbled upon quantum technology. Either they're advancing at an impossible rate, or they've been hiding their true capabilities. "What do we do?" asked Thylos. "We continue watching," the captain decided. "But we also prepare contingency measures. If they activate a device that powerful, it could detect our presence, or worse." As the alien ship watched from the shadows, humanity continued its march toward a confrontation they didn't even know was coming. Rain poured down on the streets of Geneva as Elena Reyes hurried toward the International Science Conference. After 3 weeks of tracking the mysterious heat signature near Europa, she needed to talk to someone who might actually listen to her. According to the conference program, Dr. Marcus Chen was presenting his work on quantum communication. Maybe he would understand the significance of what she had found. Inside the crowded hall, Elena slipped into the back row, just as Marcus finished his presentation. "The quantum resonance array allows us to connect particles across any distance instantly," Marcus explained to the audience. "This could revolutionize how we communicate across Earth and eventually, perhaps across space itself." After the talk ended, Elena pushed through the crowd to reach him. "Dr. Chen, I need to speak with you," she said urgently. "My name is Commander Elena Reyes from the International Deep Space Monitoring Station." Marcus looked surprised. "What can I help you with, Commander?" "Not here," Elena whispered. "It's about your quantum experiments and something I've detected in space, something that shouldn't be there." On the alien observation vessel, Thylos watched the humans with growing fascination. Unlike his crewmates who saw only primitive beings, he saw creativity, passion, and potential. "Captain, request permission to conduct closer observation," Thylos asked. Captain Zorvax's crystalline form shimmered with concern. "Denied. We maintain distance until the council decides how to proceed." But that night, while most of the crew rested, Thylos slipped away in a small shuttle. Using technology that could disguise his alien form with a human appearance, he headed toward Earth. He just wanted to see these fascinating creatures up close, maybe understand why they had created such advanced quantum technology so suddenly. What Thylos didn't account for was Earth's weather. As his shuttle approached Geneva, where many scientific discussions were happening, it encountered a powerful thunderstorm. The electrical interference damaged his disguise technology. Thylos managed to land in a forested area outside the city, but knew his human appearance wouldn't last long. He needed shelter until his systems could repair themselves. "So you're saying you've detected something hiding behind Europa, and you think it might be connected to the strange energy patterns from my experiments?" Marcus asked Elena. They sat in an abandoned research building outside Geneva. Rain pounded on the old roof. Elena nodded. "I know it sounds crazy. That's why I was reassigned to satellite maintenance. But look at this data." She showed him readings from both her signal patterns and his quantum experiments. Marcus studied them, his eyes widening. "The frequency patterns match. But that would mean that something out there received your quantum signal," Elena finished. "Something that's now watching us." Suddenly, the door burst open. A figure stumbled in, soaking wet. At first glance, it looked like a man. But as lightning flashed, they could see patches of the stranger's skin shimmering like crystal. The stranger stared at them in shock, his disguise failing further with each passing second, revealing his true alien form. "Please," he said in perfect but oddly accented English, "I mean no harm." Elena and Marcus froze in disbelief as they found themselves face to face with the proof that humanity was not alone in the universe. For several long moments, nobody moved. Rain pounded on the roof of the abandoned building as Elena, Marcus, and the alien stared at each other. Elena reached slowly for her phone. "Please don't," the alien said, raising a hand that was now fully crystalline and slightly transparent. "If you alert your authorities, my people will know. They are watching your communications." Marcus found his voice first. "Who? What are you?" "My name is Thylos. I am from a species called the Meridians. We are part of the collective. 17 spacefaring civilizations that share knowledge and resources across this part of the galaxy. Elena's scientific training took over despite her shock. Why are you here? Why are you watching us? Thelos's form stabilized somewhat, the crystal-like substance of his body glowing faintly blue. We have been trying to contact your world for 30 of your Earth years. Contact us? Marcus asked, confused. How? Through patterns in your cosmic background radiation. Mathematical sequences that should have been obvious to any developing civilization looking at the stars. Thelos looked at Elena. You noticed them, didn't you? Elena's eyes widened. The signals I've been tracking. Those were from your people. Thelos nodded. Yes, but your scientists dismissed them as natural phenomena. We couldn't understand why you weren't responding. He turned to Marcus. Until your quantum experiment. Marcus sat down heavily on an old chair. My experiment reached you. That's impossible. We were just testing local quantum entanglement. Your device created ripples through subspace channels that the collective uses for communication. You sent complex quantum formulas and blueprints of your device. Some members of the collective believe you must have been hiding advanced technology all along. We weren't hiding anything, Marcus said. It was an accident. That's what I believed, Thelos said. That's why I came to observe humans directly. I wanted to understand. Elena paced the room. So your people have been watching us since Marcus's experiment? Yes. The collective sent an observation vessel. I'm from that ship. I disobeyed orders to come here. Why? Marcus asked. Because the collective is divided on how to proceed. Some species, like the Vril, see humans as dangerous and unpredictable. They advocate for isolation, or even preemptive measures. Preemptive measures? Elena asked, alarm in her voice. You mean attack us? Not attack, but contain. Prevent your technology from advancing further until you can be properly assessed. Thelos's form suddenly flickered as a small device on his wrist beeped urgently. That's an emergency signal from our ship. He touched the device, and a holographic display appeared in the air. Alien symbols flashed red. What is it? Marcus asked. Thelos looked up, his crystalline face showing what they somehow recognized as fear. The collective council has made their decision. They're implementing containment protocols. Your solar system is about to be quarantined. No ships or signals in or out until they determine if humans are a threat. The rain outside suddenly stopped. Through the window, strange lights began to appear in the sky, even though it was daytime. It's already beginning, Thelos whispered. Strange lights danced across the sky all over the world. Blue, green, and purple ribbons waved like giant curtains, visible even in daylight. People stopped in the streets to stare upward. Cell phones recorded the unprecedented phenomenon as news stations broke into regular broadcasting. What is happening? Elena asked, looking out the window of the abandoned building. The collective is deploying a containment field around your solar system, Thelos explained. It creates a barrier at the heliopause, the edge of your sun's influence. Nothing can enter or leave. They're trapping us in our own solar system. Marcus couldn't believe what he was hearing. Yes, it's a standard protocol for potentially dangerous emerging civilizations. Elena turned from the window. We need to alert our governments, our military. That would be unwise, Thelos warned. The containment field is just the first step. If your people react with hostility, the collective will implement further measures. But it was already too late. Across the planet, military forces were scrambling. Fighter jets launched to investigate the lights. Space agencies worldwide activated emergency protocols. Government leaders demanded answers that scientists couldn't provide. On the alien observation vessel behind Europa, Captain Zorvax faced a crisis. Warning signals flashed across control panels. Thelos is missing, reported the security officer. His shuttle launched 3 hours ago. Find him, the captain ordered, and report on human reactions to the containment field. Humans are mobilizing their military forces, another crew member said. Their primitive weapons are being directed skyward. The captain made a difficult decision. Activate the defensive protocols. Deploy the technological dampening fields. Target their weapons systems only. In military bases across Earth, chaos erupted as advanced weapon systems suddenly failed. Missile guidance systems went offline. Fighter jet electronics malfunctioned. Communication networks crashed. The Pentagon went into lockdown. Similar scenes played out in Moscow, Beijing, New Delhi, and other military headquarters worldwide. It's a coordinated attack, generals concluded. Someone has deployed some kind of EMP weapon globally. Back in Geneva, Alina's phone died in her hand. I've lost signal, she said. Marcus checked his devices. Everything's dead. What's happening now? My crew must have activated defensive measures, Philos said, his crystalline form dimming with what seemed like regret. They're neutralizing your more advanced weapons and communication systems. Alina slammed her fist against the wall. This is insane. We weren't threatening anyone. We didn't even know you existed until today. We need to stop this, Marcus said. Philos, can you contact your ship? Tell them this is all a misunderstanding. Philos touched his wrist device. Communications are being blocked. The containment protocols override individual ship authority. Only the collective council can reverse this now. Then we need to send them a message they can't ignore, Alina said, determination in her voice. Marcus, could your quantum device break through their containment field? Marcus thought for a moment. Maybe. If we could amplify the signal enough and target it correctly. My knowledge of collective systems could help, Philos offered. I want to stop this too. This isn't how first contact should happen. As the three looked at each other, a silent agreement formed. Human and alien would work together to prevent a disaster neither world wanted. Outside, military helicopters flew overhead, searching for answers as the strange lights continued to shimmer across the sky. The world's governments faced a situation none had prepared for. Advanced weapons systems were useless. Satellite communications were spotty at best. The strange lights in the sky continued to shine, a constant reminder that something beyond human understanding was happening. But humans have always been good at one thing: adapting. If the new technology doesn't work, use the old, ordered the American general at the Pentagon. Similar orders echoed in military bases worldwide. Older radio systems were pulled from storage. Mechanical weapons that didn't rely on complex electronics were readied. Scientists worldwide studied the lights in the sky, sharing data through whatever communication channels still worked. Amateur astronomers connected through community radio networks. University professors worked with students to gather readings and analyze patterns. People who had been enemies days before began to cooperate, facing what they believed might be an external threat. Alina, Marcus, and Philos made their way to MIT, avoiding military checkpoints and using back roads. They needed to reach the quantum resonance array. Your people are remarkably resilient, Philos observed as they watched news reports on a television through a store window. Most species panic when faced with unknown technology. Humans don't give up easily, Alina said. It's one of our better qualities. The television showed footage from around the world. People were scared but organized. Scientific communities were already sharing theories about the lights. Military forces were adapting to the loss of advanced technology. My crew is reporting all this to the collective, Philos said, checking his wrist device, which still worked. The Vrel representatives are alarmed at how quickly humans are adapting to our containment measures. Is that bad? Marcus asked. It confirms their fears that humans are unpredictable and dangerous, Philos explained. But it's fascinating to the Meridians and other species who value adaptability. On the observation vessel, Captain Zorvax received urgent messages from the Collective Council. The humans are adapting faster than any species we've encountered, he reported to the Council. They're already finding ways to communicate despite our dampening fields. This confirms they must be contained, the Vrel representative insisted. They are too unpredictable. Or perhaps, suggested Meredith, the senior Meridian on the council, we have underestimated them. Perhaps they deserve direct communication rather than containment. When Elena, Marcus, and Phyllis finally reached MIT, they found the campus under military guard. They've secured the quantum lab, Marcus said, peering through binoculars from a hiding spot across the street. We can't get to my equipment. Then we need to build something new, Elena suggested. Something they won't expect. With what? Marcus asked. We need specialized equipment. Elena smiled. I spent 20 years monitoring deep space. I know how to build receivers and transmitters from basic parts. And now we have Thelos to help us understand what frequencies the collective uses. We could modify regular radio equipment to reach quantum frequencies, Thelos suggested, his crystalline form brightening with excitement. It would be crude but might work. Then let's do it, Marcus said. We need to send a message that the collective can't ignore. As they began planning, military helicopters circled overhead. Time was running out. The containment field grew stronger each hour, and with it, the risk of permanent isolation for Earth. But across the planet, humanity continued to demonstrate its defining quality, refusing to surrender when faced with the impossible. 3 days after the strange lights first appeared in Earth's skies, Elena, Marcus, and Thelos completed their makeshift communication device. They had set up in the basement of an abandoned radio station outside Boston, using parts scavenged from old equipment and modified with Thelos's knowledge of collective technology. Will this really work? Elena asked, looking at the strange combination of human and alien design. It's not pretty, but the principles are sound, Marcus said, connecting the final wires. We're using quantum entanglement on a basic level, combined with Thelos' understanding of how the collective's communication systems work. Thelos adjusted something on the central component. The containment field blocks normal signals, but quantum connections exist outside normal space. This should bypass their barriers. Outside, military vehicles patrolled the streets. The world had not descended into chaos, but tension was high. Governments had gone public with what little they knew, that Earth was experiencing some kind of contact event with a non-human intelligence. What exactly are we going to say? Elena asked. We need a message that will make them listen. More importantly, Marcus added, we need something that will reach all 17 species at once, not just the Council. Thelos's crystalline form brightened with an idea. The collective values knowledge and understanding above all else. What if we show them humanity's history? Your art, your science, your ability to overcome challenges. Like a summary of what makes humans human, Elena nodded. Not just our technology, but our creativity and resilience. They worked through the night, compiling images, music, and scientific achievements from human history. They added simple mathematical principles to show understanding, and records of how humans had overcome wars and disasters through cooperation. At the end, they added a simple message. We hear you now. Will you talk with us, face to face? You are welcome to land openly as our guests, not as watchers from the shadows. Ready? Marcus asked, his hand on the activation switch. Elena took a deep breath. Ready. This will alert my ship to my location, Thelos warned. They may try to stop us. Then we better be quick, Elena said. Marcus flipped the switch. The device hummed to life, lights blinking as it processed their message. A high-pitched whine filled the room as energy built up. It's working, Thelos exclaimed, watching readings on his wrist device. The quantum channel is forming. Across the galaxy, in the great chamber of the Collective Council, chaos erupted as screens suddenly activated on their own. The human message bypassed all filters and protocols, displaying directly to all 17 civilizations simultaneously. The council members watched in stunned silence as images of Earth's history played before them. They saw humans evolve from primitive beginnings to space exploration. They witnessed art, music, and scientific discovery. They saw cooperation after disaster, healing after conflict. Most surprisingly, they heard an invitation, not a threat or demand, but a welcome. Impossible, whispered the Vrel representative. They bypassed our containment field and reached not just us, but all our peoples, added Meredith, noticing that the message was being broadcast throughout the collective's worlds. They've done what no other contained species has ever managed. The overseer stood, his ancient form glowing with intensity. We must reconsider our approach. These humans have sent us a message we cannot ignore. Back on Earth, the makeshift device sparked and smoked as it completed the transmission. Did it work? Elena asked. Yes, Thylos said, his voice filled with wonder. They all heard you, every world, every being in the collective. You've done what no one thought possible. Suddenly, the strange lights in Earth's sky began to fade. 1 week after the strange lights disappeared from Earth's skies, a message arrived on every television, radio, and computer screen worldwide. It came in all languages simultaneously. People of Earth, we are the Collective, an alliance of 17 spacefaring civilizations. We have been attempting contact with your world for 30 years. We wish to speak with you directly. We come in peace. Governments scrambled to respond. The United Nations called an emergency session. Military forces remained on high alert, but the overall human response surprised even Elena. Look at this, she said, showing Marcus and Thylos news footage from around the world. People weren't panicking. They were gathering in parks and public spaces, looking up at the sky with curiosity rather than fear. Your species continues to amaze me, Thylos said. Most react with terror to first contact. 3 days later, a location was agreed upon, a neutral site in New Zealand, chosen for its natural beauty and minimal military presence. Representatives from every major nation would attend. The day of contact arrived. A massive crowd gathered behind security barriers. Media from around the world broadcast live. Elena, Marcus, and Thylos stood in the front row of the human delegation. They had been recognized for their role in establishing communication and invited as special advisors. I never imagined I'd be part of something like this, Marcus whispered. A hush fell over the crowd as a large ship appeared in the sky. Unlike the sleek, threatening vessels of science fiction, it was beautiful, a swirling combination of crystalline structures and flowing metal that caught the sunlight like a work of art. The ship landed gently on the prepared platform. For a full minute, nothing happened. Then a door appeared in the side of the vessel, and figures began to emerge. The collective delegation included representatives from all 17 species. Some walked on legs, others floated, and a few moved in ways humans had no words to describe. Leading them was the overseer, tall and dignified, with 4 arms and skin that shimmered with colors. Beside him stood Meredith, the ancient Meridian who had advocated for humanity, and surprisingly, Vex Troll of the Vrel, who had been most suspicious of humans. The Secretary General of the United Nations stepped forward. Behind her stood world leaders from every continent. She had prepared a careful speech, reviewed by hundreds of diplomats and scientists. But before she could speak, the overseer raised all 4 of his hands. Before formal words or exchange, he said in perfect English, "I must acknowledge something. For 30 years, we sent what we thought were perfect messages that you never answered. Yet when you finally responded, your message reached not just our council, but all our peoples simultaneously, something no species has ever done before." The Secretary General smiled. "We humans have never been very good at following expected protocols. We tend to find our own way to do things. So we've noticed," the overseer said with what seemed like amusement. "The collective has existed for 12,000 years. We have routines and procedures for everything. Perhaps we needed someone to show us a different approach." As formal introductions began, Thylos turned to Elena and Marcus. "This is just the beginning," he said. "The collective will never be the same, and neither will Earth." "Good," Elena replied. We humans didn't get your message for 30 years, but when we finally sent one back, it was impossible to ignore. Marcus finished with a smile. The conversation that would change two civilizations had begun.